Ang i-di-discuss ko po ngayon ay ang mga natutunan ko po about criminology. Criminology, it is study of crime, criminal and criminal behavior. And the word crimen, it means accusation, and the word lahiya, it means study. Also, I learned the division of criminology, like criminal etiology, sociology of law, penology or correction, criminalistic or forensic science. Ito po sinasabi nating criminal etiology, ito po yung mga pag-aaral or analyzing na the origin of crimes, causes of crimes. Naman po sinabi nating sociology of law, it is a scientific study of law and how law was applied or application of law. Kapag narinig po natin yung word na penology or correction, it is analyzing the prison system, punishment, means of correction and rehabilitation of the criminals. And correction naman po ay institutional or imprisonment, non-institutional or probation, parole, and pardon. And lastly po, criminalistic and forensic science. Ito naman po yung study of criminal things or evidence, application of the instrument. And also I learned the nature of criminology. Number 1 is applied science. Number 2 is social science. Number 3 is dynamic. And the last one is nationalistic. When we say po na applied science, it is a crime is multidisciplinary or application of several sciences. And social science is a crime is essential of healthy society. Crime exists in the society. And when we say dynamic, crime is changeable. Crime depends upon the society and technology. And the last one is nationalistic. Crime is based in the existing law of territory. We have specific terms of crimes. We have offensive, felony, misdemeanor, and delinquency. When we say offensive, crime is any act punishable by special laws. Ito po yung mga katulad ng Republic Acts and mga memorandum. And when we say felony, crime is any act is punishable by law. Ang offensive po ay punishable by special law at ang felony naman po ay punishable by revised penal code o tinatawag po nating RPC. And next is misdemeanor. Crime is any act of punishable by city or municipal ordinances. Ito naman po yung mga mga punishable ng city, mga municipal. And the last one is delinquency. Crime is any act of committed by minor offenders. Ito naman po yung mga child conflict with the law or delinquent. And the next topic is criminological classification of crimes. The number 1 is acquisitive crime. When we say acquisitive crime, it is when the offender acquires something as a consequence of his criminal act. Ito po yung mga katulad na crime nito ay theft, robbery, and estafa. And the next one is extensive crime. When we say naman po na extensive crime, it is when the result of the criminal is destructive or loss. Ito na ang katulad po na crime nito ay homicide, murder, infanticide, and parricide or arson. Kapag naman po sinabing ating homicide, it is the unlawful killing of a person not constituting murder, parricide, and infanticide. And when we say parricide, it is any person who shall kill his father, mother, or child. Kapag naman po infanticide, it is committed by any person who kills a child less than 3 years old. Ito po yung mga pumapatay na tao na pinapatay po nila ay 3 taon pababa. Ang tawag po sa crime na yun ay infanticide. Ang sunod naman po ay ito po yung as to the time or period committed, yung mga po na yung time, may mga time po or period na kailangan mong committed ng crime. Ang una pong crime na example dito ay seasonal crime. Pag po sinabi nating seasonal crime, it is those committed only during a certain period of the year. Violation of tax law, violation of Omnibus Election Code. Yan po. Kapag sinabi naman po nating situational crime, those committed only when given situation is conducted to its commission of the opportunity to committed crime arise. Anytime of opportunity. Ito po yung anytime na gagawin mo yung krimen, wala pong specific time. Dadako naman po tayo sa crime na as a length of the time committed. Ang po dito ay instant crime. Kapag po sinabi nating instant crime, it is those committed in the shortest possible of time. And when we say episodic crime, it is those committed by a series of acts undertaken in the length space of time. Ang sunod naman po ay as the place of location of the commission. Ang number 1 crimes po natin dito ay static crimes. Pag po narinig natin o napakinggan yung static crimes, it is those committed in only one place. Nangyayari lang po itong crime na to sa isang lugar. And the next one is continuing crimes. Kapag po naman narinig natin yung continuing crimes, it is those that can be committed in several places or piracy. And next, as the use of mental faculties. Ito po. Ang crimes naman po nakapaloob dito ay rational and irrational crimes. Pag po sinabi nating rational, it is those committed when the intention or offender is fully possession of his sanity. Ito naman po yung talagang intention mong patayin yung isang tao. Kapag po naman sinabi nating irrational crimes, those committed by the person who do not know the nature of quality of their acts on account of any disease of the mind. Ito po yung may mga diferensya sa pag-iisip, yung limbawa po, yung isang tao may problema sa pag-iisip, nakamit siya ng crime. Ang tawag po doon ay irrational crime. And next is as to the type of offenders. Ang meron naman pong crime dito ay white collar crimes and blue collar crimes. When we say white collar crimes, those committed by person of respectability and upper socio-economic class in the course of their occupational activities. Adulteration of food by manufacturer and fraud. Ito po yung mga taong nabibilang sa mataas na uri ng lipunan na gumagawa ng krimen na kaugnay sa kanyang trabaho o profesyon. And when we say blue collar crime, those committed by ordinary professional crime to maintain their livelihood. And ito po yung yung mga taong nabibilang sa pangkaraniwang uri ng lipunan na nakagawa ng krimen na kaugnay sa kanilang trabaho. And next, as to the standard of living of the criminals. Yan po. Ang crimes naman po nakakapaloob dyan ay crimes of upper world and crimes of underworld. Kapag po naman sinabi nating crimes of the upper world, ito naman po yung the falsification cases. Yan po, falsification cases. Ang ibig po sabihin yan ay ang taong kabilang sa upper class of society na nakagawa ng krimen. Yung mga nabibilang po sa matataas na na class. Kapag po naman sinabi nating crimes of underworld, bag snatching. Ito po yung mga tao pong kabilang sa lower class of society na nakakagawa ng krimen. And in this lesson, I learned the legal classification of crimes. Crimes against national security and the law of nation. Example, ito po yung example. Treason, living against the country, espionage, piracy act of forcible depredation in any Philippine water. Crimes against the fundamental law of state. Kapag po narinig natin 'yan, ang mga crimes po na o kaso na pwede nating i-ano dyan arbitrary detention or violation of domicile. Kapag po naman narinig natin yung arbitrary detention, it is any public officer or employee who without legal grounds details a person shall suffer the penalty. When we say illegal detention, it is committed by a private person while arbitrary detention is committed by a public officer or employee. Pag po sinabi nating illegal detention, ang mga tao po dito ay yung halimbawa yung mga inuupahan po, yung mga sniper ganon. Tapos pag po arbitrary detention, ito po yung mga kinocommit ng mga public officer or employee. Sa section 2 naman po ay violation of domicile. Ito po yung mga acts punishable under the judicial order, refers to a validity issue search warrant and warrant of arrest, entering without judicial authority, searching papers without the owner's consent unless the duty authorized by the court. And when we say naman po na search warrant, it is the maliciously obtained and abused in the service of those legally obtained. Search warrant lasts for 10 days only. Plain view doctrine evidence that you see even though it is not specific in the search warrant. Kapag daw po nagse-search, we should be done with the witness. Kailangan po daw na may witness. It should be the owner, relatives of the owner, two residents presenting in the same barangay. Kailangan po natin ng mga witness. Crimes against public order. Ang example mo nito ay rebellion, sedition. Kapag po rebellion or insurrection, committed by rising publicly and taking arms against government. Acts of overthrowing away the established government with a numerous number of people to remove the alliance to the government. Kapag po naman Kapag po naman sinabi natin crimes against public morals, ang example po nito na gambling, betting, offenses against decency and good custom like scandals, obscenity, vagrancy, and prostitution. Narinig naman po natin yung salitang gambling. A person engaged in the gambling if he takes there is something of value upon the outcome of the contest of change or fortune, contingent even not under his control or influence upon an agreement or understanding that he or someone else will receive something of value in the event of the certain outcome. Ito po yung mga illegal na pagsusugal. Offenders against decency and good custom like scandals. Yan po. Scandals, act that is highly scandalous, a private act that is open to the view of public, like sex. Ito po yung mga viral videos na kumakalat na or ipinapakalat ng isang tao, like pagsisex nila, ganun po. Kapag naman po nating sinabing obscenity, ito po yung mga kalaswaan o mga salitang malaswa na inaano ng ibang tao or sinasabi mo sa ibang tao. Obscenity po ang tawag doon. Kapag sinabi naman po nating vagrancy, a person having no permanent means of subsistence who has the physical ability to work and who neglects to apply to some lawful calling. And when we say prostitution, alam po natin to. Women engage in sexual intercourse for money or profit. Ito po yung mga babaeng na yung ginagawa po nila, pinagbebenta yung kanilang katawan or nakikipag-sex kapalit ang pera. Number 5, crimes committed by a public officer. Ang example po nito ay malfeasance, nonfeasance, and misfeasance. Kapag po sinabi nating nonfeasance, neglect of duty or omission. Pag po naman po sinabi nating malfeasance, malicious delay of duty, dishonest activity or misconduct, intentional commission of prohibited acts, Pag po naman sinabi nating misfeasance, improper manner or action, irregularly of performance of duty, crimes against person. Dito na po pumapasok yung murder, rape, and physical injuries. Kapag po sinabi nating murder, any person who not falling without the provision of Article 246 shall kill another, shall be guilty of murder and shall be unpunishable by reclusion temporal and its maximum period of death. Qualification circumstances are the circumstances that change the nature of a crime. Ito po yung mga tao na pumapatay gamit ang means of poison, fire, or motor vehicle, and etc. And the next one is rape. We have two kinds of rape, sexual intercourse and sexual assault. When we say rape, dito po pumapasok yung ginagamitan ng force or intimidation. And when a woman is deprived of reason or otherwise unconscious, when the woman is under 12 years old or demanded even through none of the circumstances mentioned above the present. Limbawa po, nakipag-sex sa 12 years old pababa, maaari po kayong makasuhan ng rape nun. And attempted rape. When we say attempted rape, not touching the lips of the vagina. Consummative rape, totally touch the lips of the vagina. Pag yung attempted rape po ay not touching, and the consummative rape is the touching the lips of the vagina. And the next one is marital rape. When we say marital rape, ito po yung mga married person na ang halimbawa po nito ay na-rape ka ng asawa mo. Ganun po. Ang tawag po doon ay marital rape. Incestuous rape. A person who rape of any relatives. Kapag po any relatives po, halimbawa, kamag-anak, pinsan, ganun. Ang tawag po sa rape na yun ay incestuous rape. Kapag naman po na halimbawa 12 years old of age of the demandant, nang rape ka ng bata under 12 years old, ang tawag po sa rape na yun ay statutory rape. Crimes against properties. Ang example po nito ay robbery and theft. Robbery means taking personal property of another. Crimes against property, liberty, and security. Ang example naman po nito ay illegal detention, kidnapping, trespassing, to dwelling, threat, and correction. Crimes against chastity. Ito sa private crimes. Example nito ay concubine, adultery, seduction, and abduction. Crimes against civil status of person. Ang example po nito ay bigamy and other illegal marriages. And when we say crimes against honor, ang example po nito ay libel and oral defamation. And next one is quasi-offenses or criminal negligence. Ang example po nito ay impudence and negligence. Kapag po narinig natin yung criminals, ang ibig po sabihin natin ay a person who has committed a crime and has been convicted by a court of the violation of criminal law. Ito po yung mga ng legal definition. Nahatulan ng pagkabilanggo. Yan po, ang tawag po doon ay mga criminals. And also, the meaning is a person who violent a social norms or one who did not an anti-social act. Mga taong nilabag ang batas ng lipunan. Kapag po naman sinabi nating criminal behavior, it is an intentional behavior that violates a criminal code. May also refers to the study the human conduct focuses on the mental process of the criminals, the way he behaves or acts including his activities and the cause of influences of his criminal behavior. And when we say victimology, it is a study of crimes and contributory role, if any, in crime causation. It also the scientific process of gaining substantial amount of knowledge on offender. Approaches and Theories of Crime. It deals of idea and explanation, particular in individual committed a crime. And we have three approach in the study of crime. One is subjective approach, objective approach, and the lastly is contemporary approach. And when we say subjective approach, it deals mainly on the biological explanation of crimes, focused on the forms of abnormalities that exist in the individual crime before, during, and after the commission of the crime. And sa subjective approach po, nakapaloob po dito yung anthropological approach, medical approach, biological approach, psychological approach, psychiatric approach, and psychoanalytical approach. And also we have three elements of personality. The one element is ID pleasure, and second is ego reality, and lastly super ego or coincidence. And when we say objective approach, it deals on the study of group, social processes, and institution and influences to the behavior. They are primarily derived from social sciences. Ito po yung mga approach na nakapaloob sa objective approach. We have an geographic approach, ecological approach, economic approach, social approach, and contemporary approach. Sa ngayon po, dadako naman po tayo sa importance of theory. And first, we have defined theory. Theory is a system of ideas arranged in rational order that produce general principles which increase our understanding and explanation. And now, I will introduce you the father of criminology, of modern criminology. Cesar Lombroso is the father of modern criminology, leader of the positivist in his school. Crimes, its causes and remedies, ideas and classification of the criminal. Kapag naman po sinabi nating born criminals, ito po yung criminal behavior inherited. Ito po yung mga ugali ng isang kriminal. And when we say criminal by passion, individual who are easily influenced by great emotion like fear or anger. Ang mga tawag po sa yung criminal na hindi hindi matimpi yung galit or sobrang galit na galit at kaya nakakommit ng crime. Ang tawag po sa mga criminal na yun ay criminal by passion. And when we say insane criminal, ito po yung mga criminal na commits crime due to the less psychological stamina or self-control expected from the criminal liability. Ito naman po yung mga tao na hindi na mapigilan yung sarili para makakommit ng crime. Ang tawag po sa mga tao na criminal ay insane criminal. And when we say criminaloid, it commits crime due to the less stamina or self-control. And when we say occasional criminal, those who committed crime due to the significant reason that push them to give occasion. Ito naman po yung na may isang reason na mag-push para gawin nila yung isang crime. And when we say pseudo criminals, those who kill in self-defense. Ito po yung mga nakakakommit lang ng crime dahil po gumamit sila ng self-defense. Kung si Cesar Lombroso po ang ating father of modern criminology, we have Edwin Sutherland. He was the den of modern criminology. Si Cesar ang father and si Edwin Sutherland naman ang den of modern criminology. Edwin Sutherland has been referred to as the most important criminologist of the 20th century because his explanation about crime and criminals' behavior that can be seen as corrected extension of social perspective. Sa lesson 3 naman po ay the study of criminal behavior. Freud postulate the existence of three parts of personality consisting of ID, ego, and superego. When we say ID, is a part of the unconscious that contains all the urges and the impulses, including what is we call libido, a kind of generalized sexual energy that is used for everything from survival instincts to, to appreciation of art. And when we say ego, is the part of unconscious personality. It is what the person is aware of when they think about themselves, and is what they unusual try to project towards others. And when we say superego, is a part of the unconscious that is voice of conscience doing what is right, and the source of self criticism. And we have different kinds of behavior like overt or covert behavior, conscious or unconscious behavior, simple or complex behavior, rational or irrational behavior, and voluntary or involuntary behavior. And we have different aspects of behaviors: intellectual aspect, emotional aspect, social aspect, moral aspect, psychosexual aspect, political aspect, and attitude and value of attitude. At kung sa mga math may formula, dito din sa criminology, merong criminal formula na tinatawag. In explaining the birth of criminal behavior, we must consider three factors: criminal tendency, T, yung T, the total situation, yung S naman, and personal, mental, and emotional resistance to temptation, yung R. Ang formula natin ay C equals T plus S over R. Ang C natin ay crime or criminal behavior, yun yung act. Yung T naman natin is criminal tendency, ito yung desire or intent. Yung S naman natin ay total situation or opportunity. Yung R naman natin ay resistance to temptation or control. Magiging formula natin ay crime is equal to criminal tendency plus total situation over resistance to temptation. Meron naman tayong 7 Maslow hierarchy of need. Ang una natin ay biological or psychological needs, safety needs, love or belongingness, cognitive needs, esteem needs, aesthetic needs, and self-actualization. Sa lesson 5 naman, dito naman yung criminal detection and investigation and fundamentals of criminal investigation. When we say investigate, it is come from the Latin word vestigere, which means to look into for traces, and vestigium, which means footprint. Pag sinabi naman natin criminal investigation, nabubul na ako. An art which deals with the identity, location, and provide evidence or guilt through criminal proceeding. Information. It is knowledge or data that the investigator acquired in person and record. Ito yung mga kailangan ng mga investigators para ma-acquire yung in a person and record. Meron naman tayong 3 kinds of information. Una ay regular, sunod ay cultivate, and grapevine. Pag sinabi nating regular, it is acquired from open source such as file. Dito yung mga file. Pag sinabi nating cultivate, it is acquired from informant, gives information, and informer gives information with payment. Dito yung mga binabayaran mo yung tao para sa information. Kapag sinabi naman nating grapevine, it is required from the underworld characters such as prisoner and criminals. Meron din tayong tinatawag na general sources of information. Una, person. It pertains to the victim's informant or informer. Or number 2, things. It pertains to the physical evidence. And last one is place. It pertains to the crime scene. Kapag sinabi natin ng interview, alam naman natin lahat it is the simple questioning. It is to the person who has knowledge. And witness, ito naman yung person who can perceive and can make known in her perception to other. And when we say interrogation, it is the skillful questioning. It is used to the person who is the reluctant, hesitate, and unwilling to give information. Meron tayong iba't ibang format of interview. Isa na dito ang identity. The investigator should give his name, rank, and agent. Kailangan daw na bigay ng investigator yung kanyang pangalan, yung kanyang ranggo, at saka yung kung saan siya agent. Tapos yung report. It is a building of positive feelings between the investigator and the subject. And next one is opening statement. It indicates the person why the subject is being constructed. And the next is narration. Allows the subject to give the story. Next is inquiry. Classification of information. And the last one is conclusion. To give an almost contesi. Ang Republic Act 7438, tatandaan niyo dapat yan. It is the right of the accused. He should only give statement voluntary and not by the means of threat and correction force, etc. Kapag sinabi naman nating instrumentation, it is the application of instruments and methods of physical science to the detection of crimes. Criminalistics or forensic science is the application of criminalistic science in the field of law enforcement. Criminal things, those that are left behind by the criminal perpetrator in the sense of crime, which have significance in criminal investigation. Criminalistic and criminology. When we say criminalistic, it is the study of physical evidence through a laboratory work. Criminology, it is the study of the causes, crimes, or the criminal people. We have a division of criminalities. First is scientific division, technological division, and mga nakapaloob sa dito ay mga fingerprint, forensic photography, question documents, polygraphy, forensic medicine, and forensic ballistic. Next is fingerprinting or personal identification. It is one of the universal accepted means of the personal identification through the study of fingerprints. Fingerprint is production of pattern and design from a ridges on the inside of the joint of a finger. And when we say dactyloscopy, it means the practical identification of dactylography, making of identification by fingerprint comparison and the classification of the fingerprints. In doctrine of fingerprint, we have infallible, perennial, and immutable. Kapag sinabi nating infallible, it is will not fail, will never make a mistake. And when we say perennial, conclusive and permanent. And lastly, and when we say immutable, unchangeable.